Going to Awesome, we're going live. So guys, we're going to get this kicked off. This was supposed to happen earlier this morning, and I was having technical difficulties, so we're gonna do it tonight. We're not gonna be long, but I am going to be going over just some of the things that we're doing for this year. I think it's always important that we have some type of overview of what you can expect from the platform, from all the platforms, from genesisdorsey.com. I just got home and I'm catching up to texts, emails. So if you've texted me and haven't responded, I will get back to you either this weekend or early next week. I did not have any communication with anyone, except if I had, family. But outside of that, I know some of you guys have emailed me. I've been checking my emails now. So I will be getting back to you again. I want to first go over Speak Woman, Speak the cohort really quickly. I do want to make an announcement about that. And then we're going to dive into what's happening this year. The first thing is that if you signed up, if you are a student of Speak Women Speak Cohort 2023, which begins in almost a week, February the 6th is almost here. Okay. And if you have not received your registration email, please contact us at info at genesisdorsey.com. I was combing through some of the registrations, and there were many misspellings where, people were rushing to get their seats. That we had, gmail.co, we had Yahoo with an extra H. And so that means that you did not get your confirmation email. Your confirmation email is huge because it includes the WhatsApp group that we're using for the cohorts. And so we have a cohort WhatsApp that's for everyone, whether you're a replay student or a live student, or if you are a live student, there's a separate chat as well, because I'm going to be doing some things with the live group, some trainings for them particularly, and I do not want you guys to miss out. So if you have not received your registration email, please contact us at info at genesisdorsey.com. Listen, y'all, there's over 70 of y'all in this cohort, okay? So before we kick off, I have to make sure everyone has what they need. I checked the WhatsApp. There's only 30 people in the WhatsApp, which means that I know some people did not check their emails. So make sure, again, we have over 70 women. I need you guys to be ready to roll, because when February the 6th comes, and we kick everything off, and we will be sending out the welcome pack starting next week. So if your email's not correct, you're not going to get your welcome pack. And I want to make sure every woman is ready for what's about to go down. Okay, I'm excited. God's going to do some amazing things. And we're going to see so many things come as a result of this cohort. It's going to be phenomenal. And if you missed out, don't worry. I do want to talk about what we're going to have coming up in June. So first of all, now that that's covered, let's get into 2023. So if you're watching this video, whether you're watching it live or by the replay, I want to talk about what's happening in 2023 for Speak Woman Speak, for genesisdorsey.com. And again, we were going to do this this morning. We had technical difficulties, so we're doing it right now. So again, most of you guys are probably watching the replay. So 2023 is for genesisdorsey.com, and for Speak Woman Speak, we're going in two different directions, which is the most exciting announcement of it all. And so Speak Woman Speak is going to become a ministry, a separate ministry from genesisdorsey.com, which is the biggest announcement. And I've been working behind the scenes, and we have been building a team. And I've been doing individual calls with our future team members, kind of really figuring out where everyone's going to be at, the best roles for everybody. And God's really just doing an amazing thing. And so we have a ministry that will be emerging in this year for Speak Woman Speak. And it's going to be very unique. It's not going to be your normal ministry. And we will spend more time talking about what that entails in detail. But the overview is that Speak Women Speak Ministries is really based around helping women to speak the word, learning how to discover their voice through the word and through actual tools and resources, physical resources. And so this ministry will actually be a resource ministry where we will be putting out booklets and resources that actually will help women to not just build themselves up, but to also encourage other women to be built in the word. And so I'm really excited. We have an amazing team. We're going to have a teaching team, and then we're going to be having a writing team. And, it kind of brings in the three things of Speak Woman Speak, which are speaking, writing, and teaching. And so the team that we're building up is going to be creating mini teaching series that will allow you to hear the word on the go. We're going to be diving into that in February with our planning team. But we're going to be spending time creating teaching content that will allow you, again, to digest the word on the go, but also to build up your faith with your mouth. And so that's really where I'm excited. The other part I'm excited about is our writing team. We will be emerging first with creating some resources that will allow you to also spread the gospel. And so when we come to the end of 2023, you're going to see some of those resources. These will be physical resources that you can order online, or we will be shipping them to nonprofits and entities where women are, domestic abuse shelters, homeless shelters, organizations that house women, and allowing them to get the word on the go as well. And so, again, I'm really excited about what God is doing. We want to be unique with what we're doing. We don't want to be a copycat. And I know that the vision that God has given me, that is definitely for this time and where we are. And so you will be hearing more from the team. This is not an I thing. This is a team thing. And I'm really excited about what God is doing with the team. This is some women on fire. So I'm excited. Let's talk about GenesisDorsey.com. So Speak Woman Speak over this year will again become its own thing. And we will be having an in-person experience in June. And so that's going to be kind of the kickoff of the ministry in the sense of events. We're not doing a ton of things, but when it comes to teaching, I really want to make sure that we're having, touch points with our community for them to hear the word, have a dedicated time of hearing the word and consuming the word. So that's going to be in June 2023. We'll have more details coming about that. And again, focus on the three areas: speaking, writing, and teaching. And this is going to be something really special. And so again, more details will come out with that. Well, a lot of people are asking me, because I've been talking about this and we even had a team interest meeting, if Speak Woman Speak is going to become its own thing, what's going to happen with GenesisDorsey.com? Are you still going to be teaching? I'm still going to be teaching. I'm still going to be showing up on live. I'm still going to be writing emails, still going to be encouraging you, still building you up. But what will happen is I want to make sure that I'm doing more of those teachings and encouragements and emails. So really just my goal was just to maintain what we're already doing on the platform. Again, we're going to segment the Speak Woman Speak into its own thing that's just for women. I do want to spend more time though within the GenesisDorsey.com platform, also speaking to our men. Because, what I teach on is not just for women, it's for men as well. And I've been getting men emailing me and asking me, hey, when are you doing some stuff for the men? And so, with this kind of separation and Speak Woman Speak becoming its own thing, this will allow me to really bring in the men and really speak to the leaders, to the leadership within them as well. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of unisex type content, not just catered to women, but women and men. We're also going to be doing some interviews with men as well. I want to bring on some men and kind of add a more balanced perspective, I guess you could say. And then the last thing we're going to be doing within GenesisDorsey.com is making sure that you're getting more resources. And when I say resources, I mean getting back to, I know some of you guys remember, but the written confessions. Right now, if you go in the bookstore, you'll see that we have a confession pack. We have all sorts of confessions, but there were confession packs that I was supposed to put out that were never put out. So, and another example of this would be, I had a confession pack for college girls, where, girls that are in college, would have confessions that they could use during their study time, confessions that they could use, when they're experiencing certain types of pressure, peer pressure, positive pressure, negative pressure. So I want to make sure too that there's also confessions for men. I've written so many different things, and it's time for those things to also be put out. And so you'll be able to see some of that material go out as well. But that's pretty much it. We're going to keep it simple this year, just kind of maintain what we're doing. And as far as Power 15, we are going to continue Power 15, but it's not going to be emerging just yet for 2023. I really want to get the Women Speak Ministry off the ground, get that where it needs to be. And then we will make sure that we return back with the Power 15s. Until then, you'll just see pop-ups like this where I'll be going live. The biggest thing that I would say is make sure you're on the email list. Again, you can go to genesisdorsey.com, click on the join tab, and that's how you're going to stay tuned to everything that's happening. It's not a ton of stuff that's happening, but we do have some things that are happening. The last thing I want to talk about are our accountability calls. So if you are not familiar, our community within Speak Woman Speak was having accountability calls that were the top of the month. We're going to go back to that actually. So we are going to be picking back up with our accountability calls. They're once a month and they're only for an hour. But those accountability calls are very important to me because it allows me to make sure that I'm touching with those that I'm connected to. It also allows people who may not be a part of a community like ours to have that as something that they have. And so those will resume. But again, if you want to get in on those, please be on the email list so that you do not miss out. Other than that, that is it. I'm excited about this year. I'm really excited about what God is doing, especially within these cohorts and, these future events. I really know that how should I put this? This is the year where, and this is for my community. This is not for, anybody else's church, world, whatever. This is for the community that I'm a part of. That's God speaks to me about the women that I'm connected to, the men that I'm connected to. But this is the year where for many, those things that, and I'm speaking about speaking, writing, and teaching, you have to take your leadership place. A lot of people are playing games with their destiny. They're playing games and they go from year to year, keep on playing around as if what God's called you to do is it's like it's an option, like it's something that you can just want to do if you don't want to do, or do it if you want to do it. And that's just not how it works. And what we're seeing is that this world it's just a downward spiral. Right. And it's in madness, basically. And, even though we're watching the world be in madness, you are a part of the solution. And so you really have two options. You can either complain about what's happening in the world, complain about, who's not doing what, complain about, politics and race and ethnicity. You can complain all day, talk about as many problems as you want to, but God has put you on the earth to solve problems, not to complain about them. And it only takes people who recognize what they've been called to do and do it. I didn't say that you had to know everything. I didn't say that you have to know God's plans back to front, diagonal, but you do have to know what's that first step that he called you to do. What's the first thing? Some of you are so, oh my God, you're trying to figure out what's step 572, to God's plan for my life. And many of you are in disobedience because you're not doing the first thing he told you to do. So it's really important that we realize that while this world is crazy, we are the solution. Some of you, oh man, if I just need to move out from where I'm at, if I could only get a different job, and some of you are not realizing that God has you in a particular place because there's something that he wants you to do. And so instead of running from what he needs you to do, you need to show up. And that requires boldness. Sometimes that requires you going back to things that you already did and just picking it back up the plow. You don't have to find anything new to do. You don't have to find anything, life-changing, world-changing. Sometimes the world-changing moment is you going back to what you were doing and you just dropped it, picking it back up and not allowing condemnation to just cover you. One of the things that was big for me, and I go back to, your touch points, your community, while I am I love social media. I love it. I love it. I love it. My email list, I think we have over around 4,000 right now. People. And, social media can be crazy because social media, like you may not not even 10% may see your content, right? But with email, one of the things I've been making sure I've been doing is just connecting with my email, is connecting with the people, making sure that they're hearing from me. And, as I was getting feedback back, and this is what I wanted to share, I asked a question to my email community. And I want to go back to, because I said I was going to read this. I'm also going to be sharing these on social media. But I asked my community to provide for me back. And let me pull these back up. Here we go, right here. I had asked my community, what are some things that, you've been learning? What are some things that God has been, sharing with you that's really, kind of piqued your heart, right? And I want to share two that really stuck out to me with the community. And this is something that Jean shared. She, and if you did not get that email, it's the email that says influence versus exposure. Jean said something, I loved it. She said, I'm learning several things. Number one, time waits for no one. I've been procrastinating for far too long. This cancer diagnosis has opened my eyes to how fleeting and temporary every second is. She said, even in my current state, God still has much work for me, and I cannot use this illness as an excuse to not do, but more of a reason to do whatever he says do. And here's number three. This is what I'm going back to. She said, God is not playing. He has shown me how serious it is to do his will no matter where we are, who we're with, or what's going on. His glory must be relayed right when he says. And, that is just such a big thing. A lot of times, again, we think about how, what we're doing is optional. Whatever God's called us to do is optional, and no, it's not. It's not optional. There is something that we must do. I'm going to read another email that came in from the community. I'm not going to read all of them, but I definitely wanted to read some. And I had picked some that really pulled out to me. This was Danielle. Danielle said, I'm learning to let go of offense. Offense is a fleshy characteristic. It hurts our pride and ego. Pride is a trick used by the devil to keep us off track. At the top of this year, I was offended by someone's comment about my book. I thought the comment was negative and pompous. After being convicted by the Holy Spirit in a conversation with a business coach, I realized the person being pompous was me. Woo, what a lesson and a blessing. I'm now aware of an ugly flaw that cannot go unchecked. I'm so happy it happened at the top of the year. And what I love about what she said was that many times, we are so attached to what we're doing. Because remember, we talked about how you got to do whatever God's called you to do. And within that, sometimes as God's using you, you get so attached to your gift. And you have to remember that your gift is not you. Okay? This is big. God is using you. Okay? God is using you. Okay? Your genius does not belong to you. Your genius belongs to God. Yeah, you got the degree. Yeah, you did this. Yeah, you did that. But if we traced the favor of God, that was the reason for why you are where you are, all credit goes back to God, right? So many times, we write a book. It's our book. Someone gives you back a good critique and then we get offended. Right? We get offended. I can't believe they said this. But I love what she said, because when you realize that, well, you know what? That actually was a good point. We don't allow the spirit of offense to come over us. It allows us to be better as leaders. It allows us to let go of sometimes our connection to something and realize that what we're doing is a simple conduit of God using us. So if someone gives you, healthy, feedback on something to make you better, you take it. Don't be offended, take it. And this is important, because when you allow offense to hold you, the enemy will use that as a tool to stop you. I've seen it happen many times where people got offended and it kept them from going after God's best for their lives because they were caught up in offense. And you have to learn how to not be attached so much to your gift. Right? You should be attached to God more than your gift. And so, again, these are things that we're covering and we're working on as we're getting ready for this year. But again, these are just some things, because as God is using you, you're simply but a vessel. Okay. And this is going to be the year where many of you will be emerging, in the cohort that we're doing in February. I'm going to be teaching on this, on how, God will be emerging many women. But if your heart posture is not correct, man, it's not going to be a good look. Not going to be a good look. So I want it to be a good look. I know it will be a good look for you, as long as you keep your heart pure to your purpose, your heart pure to what you've been called to do. And again, when you remember that I'm just a conduit, I don't own my anointing. I don't own it. You don't own the glory of God. You don't own none of it. Okay. The only thing you own clothes on your body, shoes on your feet, that's pretty much about it, because life is a gift itself. You don't own your life. I mean, you have a, what's the right word? You have your own will, you can do whatever you want to do, but life is a gift. So God gives me life. That by itself, I am grateful, right? When you really think about it, you can go do so much without God. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of this year. Again, you'll be seeing things emerge. I just got back from Miami today, like literally about an hour ago. And so I'm excited to get into this work. I'm excited to get into what God has for our community. I'm excited. I want you to be excited. I want you to be, I wrote something for our church on, being in expectation. You only will see what you expect. I'm telling you, and a lot of women, that's why I'm teaching this stuff. You gotta live in expectation. God is a good God. I'm not saying that God is some guy, that's gonna spoil you and give you whatever you want. God gives you his will, okay? But his will is really good. I mean, it doesn't feel good all the time, but it's the best option. I'm trying to tell you, it's the best option. I know you may have seen some other things, but his will is the best option. And when you realize, and it's a growth period for all of us. Nobody's perfect. That's how life is. It's crazy. Life's crazy. But when you realize that, when I'm in expectation of the goodness of God, sometimes the good don't feel good, but it's good. When I'm in expectation, I realize that God is making me a better person. He's making me somebody that will glorify him even more. And you have to live in the expectation of the good, right? I mean, this is why the disciples, in the first church, they were so excited. They went through crazy stuff, martyrs. Many of them were martyred. Many of them were killed for the gospel. They were excited about the gospel, though. Excited to die. Excited to die. I'm telling you, woo. Our current culture could not even handle that. To be excited to die for the Lord, to be died for the gospel, But this excitement because they knew the living power of God. This is a living God, not some God you put on a shelf somewhere, but a living God. And when you're excited about that, you realize that I should be in expectation because God is moving. Even the small things, God is moving. The small, minute things that you may not even see, God is moving in that. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up because we want God to, deal with our large problems, and we don't even realize the goodness of God and the favor of God and how he's moving in just the small things, right? And so keep your eyes open to God. Keep your eyes open to what he's doing for your life. Sometimes you just got to realize the small things, like the fact that you just woke up. Some of us, we're so spoiled by our own selfish desires that we don't even realize how good God actually is, and because somehow, our big problems aren't being solved immediately, we feel like, oh God, how come you aren't moving? God is moving. The fact that you wake up in the morning, God already moved. Okay. That covers like step one. Number two, you have to realize that you have not even witnessed everything that your bad mistake should have delivered to you. Right. So, half the time when we're like, oh God, you're not showing up. God, you're not, man, if sometimes we need to realize that, due to your own decisions, you haven't even witnessed the fullness of what your own flesh should have deserved, right? That's where the grace and mercy of God are really that good, right? And sometimes we just got to really think about it and say to ourselves, I could be complaining right now, but it really could have been worse. Really, like not just like in cliche terms, it really could have been worse, okay? Because my decisions, I shouldn't even be where I'm at right now. Right? We really cannot have this Western culture spoiled privilege where we really believe that we are worthy. I am worthy of everything that I desire and want. And I am worthy. And I'm not saying that we're not justified. I'm not saying that we are not made righteous in his sight. But that's through the love of Christ that I'm justified because of him. I'm not justified with it because I'm this good person, and I deserve, I've put in all of this work, I deserve this, I have put in all of this, I deserve that, everything that we really want and desire within Christ, we are not given because of what we deserve. We are given it because God sees us as worthy to be stewards. Let's reframe our mindset. How about that? To be stewards of what he desires to give us. Anything God gives us, we are to be a steward of it. So it's not about what I am worthy of. It's about what does God see me as worthy of being a steward of something, right? To be a caretaker of his glory and his grace, right? Like that's the way that our mentality has to be, so that we're not feeling like, how come I didn't get that? And, now you're comparing yourself to somebody else because you feel like you're more worthy, and how come they got that and you didn't get this? And we're just forgetting about God. So the reason why I'm saying, you may be like, just what are you talking about? Why are you saying all this? Because when we talk about 2023, when we talk about, this year, when we talk about, how, I will be teaching this year, right? One of the things I'm going to be really teaching on, right, is this whole idea of us belonging, especially as women. I'll make sure I'm teaching on my men's side too, but we belong to God. Like you have to really get in this mindset of, I am my own person. I'm my own woman. That's what this common culture teaches women, unfortunately. Okay. That, you are your own independent INDD, whatever Boosie said, but we belong to God. And so while this culture screams autonomy, I'm going to be preaching the direct opposite of that, which is I am dependent. You should be so dependent upon God that you don't even have this feeling of pride that instantly jumps into, Mrs. Fix It All. I'm going to figure it out. I've got this. I want us to be jumping into Holy Spirit. What do you think first? Before I do anything, before I make a move about anything, Holy Spirit, what's your sense on this, right? Let me go into that mode. And so we're going to be really focusing in on belonging to God, leaning in on the Holy Spirit. I'm going to be talking about, things that are definitely counterculture. It's going to be a little bit of a shock factor for some of you because you've been brainwashed by this culture so much that, some of you will die more for your blackness than the gospel. But we're not going to talk about that yet. We're going to save that for next month. Okay. Maybe I should do it during Black History Month because it may offend some people. But, I'm going to shake the boat a little bit this year because the thought process that this world has done with many women has messed us up. And so, we now brag more about, our possessions and our degrees. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being educated. My God, please educate yourself. But I'm seeing things happen in the worlds of women that are affecting their ability to flow in the supernatural because we have become so boastful of our own abilities. We really feel like we've got this. We really feel like we know it all. We feel like, that somehow God is not delivering on his promise because of what we've done, because of what we've accomplished. And so I've been seeing a lot of women frustrated. How come I'm not getting married? I have 3 degrees. I have this, I have that. How come I'm not married? Well, because your marriage has nothing to do with how many degrees you have or who you know or how many dates you've been on. No, it's really about glorifying the Father. So when we lose sight of that, then we go into this whole, we feel like we're in depression because we're not receiving what God has. I've seen women talk about, my destiny. How come, God isn't using me like this? I've done this. I've completed this. I've launched this. I've been here. I've been there. And God does not care about your resume when it comes to you being used. Okay. He cares about your heart posture for you to realize that you cannot do anything without him. And as women, we must submit. I know we hate that word. I'm already getting into February. We hate that word submission because again, this common culture has brainwashed us and it has overused the terms that are coming from the word. And now we don't even want to talk about the words that God put in the Bible. We don't even want to talk about, I hate the word submission, but the first person you need to learn to submit to is not a man. It's God. Okay. How about that? It's God. Okay. It's God. It's the Spirit of God. You need to learn how to submit to his following, to his leadership. And so these things I believe are going to make us to be even more powerful women in the world. We're not going to allow ourselves to be brainwashed by this culture. Again, I may get canceled for a lot of things I'll be teaching this year, especially when I get to race. Y'all going, oof, Jesus. But I have to teach it because we are spirit first. And I'm not saying as we get in this year, I'm not saying that you're not black. I'm not saying that you're not white. I'm not saying you're not Hispanic, Latino, Asian. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that we must realize that what matters above all things is our faith in God. That is the most important thing, is our faith in God. And we will not allow the culture to strip us of our faith or to make other things idols due to us trying to fit in or be like the world. So again, I'm really excited for this year. It's going to be an amazing year. I hope that you stay around so that you can get all these different teachings and insights and things that I really believe will build up your faith, will build up your leadership, and how you impact and influence people around the world. For many of you, women and men, God is going to use your voice like never before. So make sure that you show it with a boldness and with a fire. Don't you allow anyone to make you feel like your thoughts are less than or that whatever God has given you is not worthy to be said. But you remember that you must speak, write, and teach with fire and with a boldness like never before, because this world needs it. It's starving for what's inside of you. It's starving for your speaking, your writing, and those teachings. Remember, we're not just talking about ministry. We're talking about in whatever sector you're called to, whatever area in which and group you're meant to minister to. It may be your home. It may be a corporate environment. You do not know how God's going to use you, which is why you let him use you. Guys, we'll see you at another time, okay? Love you guys so much and be blessed. See you guys later, okay? I will see you very, very soon.